Well, howdy folks, and welcome to Ref Shaw Outdoors. And today we're gonna talk about a rifle that is kind of, I don't want to say controversial, but I think you either love them or you hate them, and that's the Remington Model 700. So I think most people know the Remington 700 came out in 1962. It was Remington's answer to the Model 70. So throughout the 50s, the Winchester Model 70 was the bolt action to get. I think Remington made the 721 and 722, possibly. But, and I'll have to look those up. I think those were push feeds also. But Remington really had to get something going, and this was their answer. This particular one was made in 1963, so it's a pretty early one. And the way they worked, this is 30-06, 4-round magazine with 4+1. One thing that that I was kind of surprised to see with this one, on this early one, is with it's just a 2-position safety, but in safe, it locks the bolt. Some of the later ones, when I was growing up, my dad had a 223 Remington 700, and that one, the bolt didn't lock down, even on safe. This one does. So I think that was something that you kind of see gun companies when they're going through hard times. They start skimping on stuff, try to make stuff a little cheaper. This particular model is an 80L, so no floor plate. You got to run every round through the chamber, which you got to do on fire to unlock the bolt, to run every round through to unload, which that can be a little nerve-wracking for some, but you think about it, a lever action isn't that much different. But anyway, so this is, Remington, when they came out with this is kind of what got them in the bolt action game. And they did pretty well. Something that makes these pretty famous is their 3 rings of steel. So with a push feed action, you can the bolt face actually completely goes around the head of the cartridge, unlike a control round feed, which just has that claw extractor on about 1/3 of the head. But then another thing, because it doesn't have that big claw extractor, they have a full breech. So you got the 3 rings of steel, the bolt head, the receiver, and the barrel, completely supporting the cartridge head. Whereas on the Model 70 with control round feed, you have what they call a coned breech. So the head of the cartridge is not really supported in any way. So I guess that would be an advantage with this push feed. And when these came out, this is, like I said, 1960. This is a 63, but they came out in 62. It was just 2 years later, Winchester, now they're hitting hard times, and totally redid the Model 70 and more or less made it the same thing. I'll have to look into some, as far as the bottom of the receiver on the post-64 Model 70s, but the 700s have a round bottom receiver, whereas the pre-64 Model 70s, and if I'm not mistaken, the current ones are square. So it makes it a little tougher to bed. These 700s are well known for their accuracy. The Marines were using them in Vietnam for sniper rifles. and eventually became the M40. The Army also came up with a sniper rifle based on the 700 action. So that's a pretty good selling point. And to tell you the truth, I don't think there's anything wrong with them as far as a hunting rifle. For deer, especially, elk. And as a matter of fact, my first moose client up in Alaska, he had hunted all over, and he had been in Africa. And he told me when he was in Africa, he was hunting Cape buffalo. He used the safari company's rifles, and they gave him a Remington 700 in 375 H&H to use on his Cape buffalo hunt. So, you always hear you got to have control around feet on a dangerous game hunt. For your hunting rifle, not so much. If a guide's rifle or a PH's rifle that's totally different than a hunting rifle. A guide's rifle is more a stopping rifle, especially in Africa. A PH, they're more than likely going to carry something with control round feed. But I have heard that some of them do carry the 700. They never were real popular with Alaskan guides, although I do know a few who used push feed Model 70s, which my first Model 70 that I bought when I was 12, that was a push feed, and it was similar to this. Had no floor plate, and I just at the time I was a purist, I ended up trading it off on a post 2008 control round feed, which I have showed you on the channel before. But no, for hunting rifles, they're very well known, to be real accurate rifles. And that was something the pre-64 Model 70s, if we want to talk about the accuracy we achieved today, the pre-64 Model 70s they were subpar to what we would consider an accurate rifle today. But the Model 700 can still, keep up with that accuracy. But anyway, well, I guess I'm going to take a couple shots with this just to see. There's so much doggone snow, I don't think I'm going to be keeping any brass or saving any. One thing that's kind of interesting about this one, before I shoot it here, it's just a steel butt plate. This one actually, someone had very crudely tried to glue a slip-over recoil pad on. You can see the color difference. I got that off with what was that? Isopropyl alcohol, hot soapy water, and a razor blade. Just tried to clean it up, and I got it fairly well. But now I'll take a few shots. So I got this one. I got to put it on fire to run the bolt. And there she is. And we're going to see. Well, I mean, she don't kick that hard. And poof. We'll find that brass in the spring. So there, we're talking I wonder if I can take this out. This is something that's a little odd to me, is the bolt release right in front of the trigger there. But as you can see, where is the camera? You can see the plunger ejector there, which positively ejects your brass. They are a little more difficult to catch, and that would be kind of a pain in the butt without a floor plate. That was another one of the reasons why I got rid of my push feed Model 70. Was unloading was a pain. But just taking a couple shots offhand here, looking through the scope, I was a little to the right, but pretty doggone close. So yeah, this rifle, I would say, is still in good working order. One thing I wanted to talk about here, I'm getting off subject again, but this rifle came standard with open sights, and it would be kind of interesting if a guy could shoot them. This is a pretty nice, this is a VX2 loopholed scope, so whoever put that on there, they knew scopes. I want to say this is a 22-inch barrel. I didn't measure it, but that is handy, especially, you know, 30-06, 22-inch barrel. You're keeping your shot. In the Midwest deer hunting, 300 yards is a long shot that you don't get that often. So, the long barrels aren't quite so, you know, needed, I guess. Another thing too, which I like about a shorter barrel, is just moving around in heavy cover. I mean, shoot, even in a lot of places in Alaska, it's tight, tough, you know, so you don't have a dang musket out here. So anyway, I guess that's today's video about the Remington Model 700. Oh, I was gonna say, they are making them again. I thought I just saw something about them, and they look a little different, so I couldn't say what all, and I haven't shot one. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the Remington 700, but I know a lot of people are. So they are making them again. If that's kind of your, you like them, I say go for it. But that's going to be today's video. I'm Pete Refshaw with Refshaw Outdoors, and keep your powder dry.